state regime media known as Fox was collapsing live on air as Donald Trump's approval is just plummeting, as Americans are livid that he's out there doing weird Epstein dances in Malaysia, whatever the hell he's doing, and building golden ballrooms, ripping down the White House. What does Fox do to try to change the topic, to provide cover for Donald Trump? It's so humiliating. You have Laura Ingraham bring on this panel and say, you know, the problem with Democrats, they're the party of angry women. They're the party of angry women. This is coming from Laura Ingraham. Okay, play this clip.
I mean, this AOC obsession with Riley Gaines, I find it just delicious because it kind of, it reveals the vapidity of AOC when you get right down to it.
Well, it's also that the base of the Democrat Party really has become angry women. And women who are angry tend to be very mean to other women who are smarter or prettier or more successful or braver than they are. And that's what we're seeing here.
And this was their focus for most of the night. Democrats equal angry women. I kid you not. They then said, AOC, very angry woman. Very mean is what Laura Ingraham says. She's a mean girl, mean girls in the Democratic Party, because AOC did not want to even entertain the ridiculousness of that Riley Gaines person who was trying to get attention for herself on Fox. Here, play this clip with Laura Ingraham first. Play this clip.
Yeah, it wasn't an olive branch. It was actually just a challenge, and a substantive one. So, but instead of just accepting the challenge and say, yeah, let's sit down and talk, debate, AOC responded to that by saying, I would like to challenge this person to get a real job. That's just typical mean girl behavior. And she's not the only Regina George in the Democratic Party. It's full of bullies.
And this is what they're doing on Fox. I mean, for real, like, as Americans are worried that they're about to lose healthcare, 20 million Americans, 42 million Americans are about to lose their SNAP benefits. You had Riley Gaines. I don't even know why she's on Fox. And Mark Meadows is here apparently with Laura Ingraham. What do they say? This would be like the worst blunt rotation. What's that expression that they used to be the worst? It's this is a wild group right here. Let's just say that. And Riley Gaines is like, I want to challenge AOC to a debate. Here, play this clip.
I want to honestly challenge AOC to a debate. She can defend socialism. I will defend capitalism. She can defend removing God. I will defend embracing a biblical worldview. She can defend child sacrifice. I will defend the sanctity of life. Any of the radical, insane Democratic policies and platform that they stand for, I will debate the opposite. I'm challenging AOC to it here.
Well, I thought you were going to challenge her to like a freestyle, 100 freestyle or something. I'm like, that's
that too.
That's an unfair fight. Or
a fair fight to her is putting a man in the pool.
Yeah, you could wear like 100-pound weight and challenge her to it. That would be fair, actually.
No one wants to debate you. AOC's like, and I would like to challenge this person to go and get a real job. Then you have Kayleigh McEnany saying, look, the real problem here is that Democratic leader Hakeem Jeffries wants to use taxpayer dollars to investigate Donald Trump. And then the co-host of the show, Campagno, whatever her name is like, she goes, hey guys, let's take something sweet that benefits everybody. We all love the golden ballroom. That benefits us all. Here, play this clip.
This is part of what Donald Trump has been doing since day one of his presidency, running the largest pay-to-play scheme in the history of the country, and probably soliciting donations from people who've got business before the United States government. And all of this is going to have to be investigated. It will. All of this will have to be uncovered. It will. And these people are going to be held accountable.
Emily, if you listen carefully, he wants taxpayer dollars to fund an investigation of a privately funded ballroom from President Trump.
Yeah. Hey, guys, let's take something free that benefits everyone and then waste our tax dollars investigating it. I am so tired of the credibility being shattered the instant these individuals get on camera or behind their X accounts. And it is so frustrating for me as an American constituent to have to deal with a consistent bile being dripped and dropped and spewed by Hakeem and Eric and everyone else that is doing it for the clickbait rather than serving their constituents.
And they keep on going with this one. They're like, the Golden Ballroom is great. And the thought that the destruction of the ballroom, which benefits all Americans, is something that makes us mad. Just listen to what she says here. Play this clip.
And the thought that the destruction of the ballroom, which will benefit us. I mean, haven't you guys ever been somewhere where, it's sort of larger than life in your head, and then you arrive and you're like, oh, it's tiny, sort of shabby. Dang.
Okay, so you have that. So then what is Jesse Waters going to say? How's Jesse Waters going to handle this? Well, Jesse Waters says, everybody out there is calling Donald Trump daddy right now. It gets so weird. Here, play this clip.
We've got the Europeans to pony up on their NATO dues, and everyone's calling Trump daddy.
Back to that Campagno, whatever her name is. She was like, where were you, Democrats, for the last 4 years? Why weren't you investigating Biden? Biden. Here, play this clip.
I love the fact that this upgrade will now be commensurate with the gold and the dream and the opportunities for America, and also the commensurate respect that we want to afford our guests, our esteemed guests that are the heads of states of our partners around the globe. But for some very small-minded and bitter people who come from, where does he come from? Iowa, and then he moved to Dublin, California, and pretends to be from the Bay Area. For Eric Swalwell to now pretend to be hip and think that he has some way in about it. Americans care deeply about a lot of other things, but them sort of being hyper about this and then pledging our tax dollars to investigate it. Where were you, by the way, in your investigations of corruption under the prior 4 years? That's when we needed you.
Oh, now you got to bring on Ted Cruz on Hannity. And Ted Cruz says, when anyone says I'm not a bimbo, what does everyone think? You're a bimbo? When AOC stands up and says we're not crazy. Play this clip.
This is a full takeover. I think Bill Maher is right. What are your thoughts?
Look, I think the Democrat Party has lost their minds. I got to say, I was amused listening to AOC say, we're not crazy, we're sane. It reminded me of an old friend of mine who talked about what she called bimbo eruptions, which is whenever anyone says, I am not a bimbo, what does everyone think? You're a bimbo. When Richard Nixon said, I am not a crook, all of America said, you know what? He's a crook. In this instance, when AOC stands up and says, we are not crazy, the rest of America says, you're crazy. And methinks she doth protest too much.
You know what makes fall even better? Coffee. Okay, I'll be honest, coffee makes every season better, and personally, I'm an iced coffee year-round kind of guy. Let's be real, some days still call for iced coffee, while others demand something warm and cozy in your favorite mug. With Trade, you don't have to choose. They'll match you with coffees that taste incredible however you drink them, hot, iced, or cold brew. Every cup feels like the perfect fall ritual. Trade is the #1 coffee destination in the US for both hot and cold coffee drinkers. They've sourced the best beans from over 50 top roasters across the country. I just had an incredible bag of Ethiopian beans from Sightglass Coffee. They're a roaster based here in California. Citrus notes, even a hint of apricot. So fresh, so aromatic. I've been drinking it black and also pulling some killer espresso shots, and I use it to make some incredible iced lattes. The flavor is so good any way you take it. What I love most about Trade is how easy it is. You take their quick quiz, tell them how you like your coffee, and they'll recommend the perfect roasts. And if that first bag isn't quite right, Trade will replace it for free until they nail it. For me, no joke, they have nailed it every single time. I brag about Trade to everyone when coffee comes up. So stop running out of coffee or settling for stale beans from the store. Right now, Trade is offering 50% off a 1-month trial at drinktrade.com/Meidas. That's drinktrade.com/Meidas, MEIDAS, to get 50% off 1 month. drinktrade.com/Meidas.
I'm telling you, this stuff is really, these are like deranged human beings. Then you have Kayleigh McEnany says, Donald Trump does things that are so normal. Building a ballroom, very normal. And Democrats get angry when you do normal things like rip to shreds the East Wing of the White House and build ballrooms and arches. And triumphal arches? Here, play this clip.
Are they just going to be forever stuck in this hole that Biden put them in?
Yeah, and I would say Trump continues to dig that hole deeper for them. He does these things that are just normal, like building a ballroom, and then they fall into a very deep hole, and then they find themselves in this endless cycle that the American people just look at and they roll their eyes.
So then Laura Ingraham brings on James Comer. I'm James Comer, everybody. I'm Comer. And James Comer, yesterday, what he was pushing, he goes, we're gonna make a recommendation to the DOJ that all of Biden's pardons are illegal because they used an auto pen, and the auto pen was illegal, and Biden didn't know what he was doing. That's what you're focused on. Biden knew what he was doing. I seen Biden give a speech yesterday. It's far more coherent than a Donald Trump speech. First, let me play you what James Comer had to say. Even Laura Ingraham's like, I'm not sure about this one, Comer. Here, play this clip.
The staffers confirmed that they would go weeks, months, and even years without communicating with Joe Biden. This is a massive cover-up, and what we determined was every pardon should be declared null and void.
Well, back to that point, I want to get into specific pardons in a moment, but that's all well and good to say they're null and void, but I'm a lawyer, so I'm going to ask you this. Is there really any legal means of challenging these pardons? I mean, I don't see any federal court that wants to get involved in what seems to be unknowable with the president's plenary pardon power. I think they're going to call it a political question and say we're not getting involved.
And just so you see, this was former President Biden's speech from 2 days ago, so you can just see Biden for yourself. Here, play this clip.
Folks, we can't kid ourselves. We are in one of those moments right now. In my over 50 years in elected public life, this is the worst I've seen it. If Ted were here today, he'd still be fighting like hell, but his optimism would be surely tested. Because truth be told, our very democracy is at stake, in my view. We all agree that our politics is broken, that political violence, never acceptable, is out of hand, that America should be a place not of extremism and fury, but of decency and grace, that our institutions are what makes us the envy of the world, and our democracy is worth fighting like hell for.
Yeah, that's far more coherent and logical than Donald Trump when he was talking to the at the naval base in Japan, and he was like, Gulf of America is Gulf of America, and the Supreme Court, Gulf of America. I don't even know what he was even talking about. Then you have Brooke Rollins, the Secretary for the Department of Agriculture, head of the Department of Agriculture, and she's asked, these farmers are pretty pissed. Soybean farmers, ranchers are really upset about the Trump policies because you're throwing them under the bus. You've given a $40 billion bailout to Argentina. You've shut off their export markets to China. What are you doing? And Brooke Rollins seems to suggest that ranchers are the big problem here. Here, play this clip.
The proposal that the president has been talking about to bring in some 80,000 metric tons of beef from Argentina to try to get prices down. There's obviously a shrunken cattle supply here, which is the reason why prices here are going up. But a lot of these ranchers are feeling betrayed. Destiny Weeks, an Oklahoma rancher, said this: "It feels like a slap in the face to rural America. It makes you feel invisible and overlooked." And Justin Tappers, the president of the U.S. Cattlemen's Association, said a deal of this magnitude with Argentina would undercut the very foundation of our cattle industry. What do you say to cattle producers in this country?
Yeah, there's a lot of frustration on both sides. This president has made it very, very clear that his promise to bring the cost of living, cost of goods down, beef continues to go up. But then you marry that with you said it, John, we've got the lowest herd in 75 years. And there's a lot of reasons for that: drought, the screw room at the border, we've had to close the ports, et cetera. But listen, those goals are not mutually exclusive. And just last week, we released a 19-point plan on how we rebuild the herd and what needs to happen to do that. The Argentina comment right now, we consume 12 million metric tons of beef every single year in America. 2 million of that 12 million we have long imported. So the idea of importing a little bit more Argentinian beef from about 20,000 metric tons to 40,000 or maybe 60,000 out of the total 12 million will not do anything to compromise our ability to rebuild that cattle herd. For anyone to say, and again, knowing the frustration that's there, but there has been no one who has been more resolute, who has been more passionate about supporting rural America, about supporting our farmers and our ranchers than Donald Trump.
Back to Jesse Waters, who says, these aren't bribes that Trump's taking on these trips. He goes, this is just him making good money. The American people love Donald Trump making good money. Here, play this clip of Waters.
They're gifts for us. They're investing billions, building our bases, buying our rice. Think about it. Trump has gotten Japan to buy American rice. Never happened before. Trump's not being bribed with gold golf balls. He's worth billions. He's doing big business and everyone's making money. America first, obviously.
Then here's MAGA Mike Johnson. Let's play it.
But that was a 1-hour meeting where he basically said, here's our bill, take it or leave it. Yeah. That's not a negotiation.
Yeah. Schumer has shown no indication whatsoever that he's changed his posture from that day. So talking with him and trying to negotiate is a waste of time.
And then to top it off, they bring in Ron DeSantis, who seems to be describing Donald Trump without a sense of irony, even though he claims he's describing Xi Jinping. Here, play this clip.
Xi has a very high threshold for pain because he really doesn't care what happens to his citizens. It's all about whether the Communist Party remains in power. And as long as he has a grip on power, he's willing to do what suits him. But I think what you're seeing develop is a very strong coalition. And I think it helps bolster the United States in the region. I think it helps weaken China in the region.
Yeah, that's what a real king looks like. Someone who doesn't really worry about elections over in China. The Democrats might want to look east for that.
There you have it, folks. Let me know what you think. Hit subscribe. Let's get to 6 million subscribers. What the hell was that?
Want to stay plugged in? Become a subscriber to our Substack at MeidasPlus.com. You'll get daily recaps from Ron Filipkowski, ad-free episodes of our podcast, and more exclusive content only available at MeidasPlus.com.